Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out with Nate Vasquez, latterly trainer of Chris Eubank Jr. We're here in the Ewbank Gym in Hove. First of all, for people that aren't familiar with your work, just give us a quick rundown of your background in the sport.
I used to box. I started when I was like 8 years old, all the way up to 28. I turned pro. Had a couple pro fights, signed a contract, pretty much ended my career. Had a couple fights, won, and then I just decided I was done doing it. So I began training fighters. My first fighter I worked with was Antoine Eccles. We grew up in the amateurs together, so I helped him out with a lot of his fights.
You fought Bernard Hopkins, of course.
Yes, he fought Bernard 2 times. He's fought a lot of fights, so I was in the corner with a lot of his, if you look back. And then moved back to Vegas and started training fighters there.
And you train out of the Mayweather Gym currently. How did that relationship start? How did you move your operation to there?
96, I used to train with Roger, Floyd, and Stephen Forbes at Golden Gloves Gym. From then, I trained, I think, 2 years there with them. From there, I moved to Florida. I was down in Winky Wright's camp with Antoine.
Oh, with Dan Birmingham?
Yes, with Dan. I was down there for a couple years, and then I moved back to Vegas, and I trained with Jeff Mayweather from then on, from like 2001, I think, all the way till through my pro career. So, and I even help Jeff with his fighters right now. So, I still have a connection. Jeff's a real good guy, a real good friend.
How did you first meet Chris Eubank Jr. and how did your relationship develop over time?
I met Chris. I remember Chris coming to the gym a long time ago, at Top Rank Boxing Gym when I used to box there. Richard Steele's gym, met him. He was young then, so, and I was still fighting. But recently we were at the Mayweather's gym and I trained Kevin Newman, and Kevin and him were sparring, and he asked if I would work with him. So I said, yeah, why not? So we gave it a try, and he liked what I did. So that's how I became Chris's trainer.
How much of a big decision was it for you to, because obviously it means coming over to another country for a set amount of weeks leading up to this fight, so it must have been quite a big decision for you?
Yes, it is. I got family back home, so yeah, it's a real big decision. It's a real big change, from coming from the weather to over here in the cold. I got 3 kids, and you miss your kids and stuff, but I've been in the boxing game for so long, and I've traveled. It's in your blood, so.
And you're actually living with Ewbank while you're over here at his house. Is that typical of something you do with your fighters when they're coming up to a fight? You move in with them, kind of keep an eye on them, I guess, 24/7?
No, the only other fighter I lived with was Antoine Eccles, besides Chris. But, it was in the States. I lived with Antoine, and here it's a different country, I really wouldn't know anywhere to go or anything, So it's a benefit for me staying with him.
Do you think for him as well, though, he wanted you in there to kind of have that 24/7 training mindset? He'll always be thinking about training now?
I'm not too sure because I don't know before his previous his experiences, but for me, I know it's it helps a lot because I'm there pushing him, and really I ain't got to push him because you go work out, and where are you going? You're going to run, stuff like that. So we got a set gym time. We come to the gym, train, and then we know the times. It's when we're at the house, we just relax, watch TV, and it's nothing about boxing besides me watching films, and he watches films. So
at this stage in his career, he's had a lot of professional fights. He's a certain age now, at 29. you can't completely change his style at this stage, and I'm sure you wouldn't want to. So what are the key areas you've looked at kind of either altering slightly or improving upon in this camp?
Just making him a better all-around fighter. There was a lot of stuff that he did that, wasn't right. And stuff he didn't work on. Even, at a younger age, he didn't work on what he should have been working on. So his defense, hopefully you see a way better defense than his past fights. And just a much better fighter all around.
What were some of the things he was doing wrong? I mean, we don't want to dwell too much on the negative, but what were the kind of key things you looked at and thought, right, this needs to change?
His footwork, his going out to take someone's head off, and just not putting his punches together. He's only got 2 losses to 2 champions, which is really, really good. So you can't really say he's been beat by poor opposition or whatever, because he's only lost to 2 champions. So all around, he just needed someone to help him tighten it up.
What do you make of DeGale as a fighter? What do you highlight as his kind of strengths and weaknesses?
DeGale, great fighter, great amateur fighter, great champion. His strength, he's a great boxer, good speed, good movement. Power's so-so. His weaknesses is the same thing. You have a lot of amateur fights, you have a lot of pro fights. It takes it takes a toll on your body, so a lot of wear and tear on the body. Last fight's tough, hard fights, four or five, I'd say 4. Badu Jack, 2 with
Porky Medina.
Yeah, Porky
So
Medina.
4 of the last 5.
Porky struggled with Porky, and then his last fight, which I don't know who he fought.
It was just like 3 rounds, wasn't it?
Yeah, he fought a welterweight, so some Colombian welterweight, 100. Welterweight. I don't know, 3 rounds. Should have had him out of there in the first, I'd guess. So, but he's a good fighter. All around, he's a good fighter. But we just got to be better that night.
And final question before I let you go. Do you see this as the beginning of a long-term relationship between yourself and Ewbank, knowing that may mean you would have to come over here more often?
Yeah, I hope so. We're doing a lot of good work, and hopefully it leads to a long-term relationship. It's not good to get rid of trainers and get new trainers, but obviously he liked what I was doing in Vegas and with the fighters I worked with, so he chose me, and I didn't see him choose anyone else over there. So, there's some good coaches over there, but none as good as me, I guess.
Brilliant. Well, we wish you the very best luck on February 23rd, and we hope it's not the last time we see you in the UK.